So we're actually going to be restoring this vise, and this is Granddad's old vise that he gave me, and it's been handed down years over years over years. And we're going to pull it all apart, we're going to restore it, and we're going to mount it on the workbench. So the first thing that we need to do is actually unbolt the front casting. And for those of you that don't know, you can actually unbolt this thing or unscrew it, and the whole front piece will come out. So we're just gonna keep going here, and then we're gonna just pull it out. So when I say restore it, we're gonna go through and clean the entire thing very, very well. I'd like to sandblast it, but I don't have access to one right now, so we're probably just gonna use a wire brush on it, and then we'll use some surface prep, prime it, and paint it. But there's a lot of areas that we don't want to paint, and one of them being this piece here. So I'm going to show you how to completely remove this from your vise, and then we're going to clean all these grooves really well, and we're going to re-lubricate everything and basically service this whole thing, make it look like brand new. So the first part is to pull this out. Once that's done, we'll move on to the rest. Okay, so now, once you've pulled the slide out of the base of the vise, there's going to be a little round C-clip that basically bolts a little clip in there. We're going to remove that. And one way that you can do it is, I like to, if you can, get some needle nose in there, right in between there, and kind of spread it out, and then open your needle nose just enough to get that clip opened up where it will slide off, just like that. Now we can pull the entire base out, just like so. And now this piece is completely stripped of any components or anything that's bolted on. So we'll put this aside for now and start working on the base. So now we've got the base here, and I've got a large flathead screw here, and then this is what allows the base to turn, or I should say it allows you to turn this on the base, and then you tighten this down here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take both of these out, and we're gonna separate the base from the backside here. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my flathead and a 16mm wrench here to be able to turn this all together and get it to loosen up, because it's really tight. So we'll go ahead and remove this now. We'll set that aside. Now we need to remove this one here. So I'm just gonna spin this. So I'll just go ahead and spin this off. And then we can take that piece out. For now, I'm gonna put it back together here. And now virtually we've separated every piece of this vise. There's nothing else that's bolted on or anything like that. And we've got the base here as well. So we're gonna clean all this up really good. So I've got my wire brush, and essentially we're gonna just start making sure that we've got all the loose stuff up off of this. Now that we got any of the loose stuff off with the wire wheel, there's a ton of grease and stuff in these areas that I want to get cleaned out. So I've got some industrial purple degreaser. This is like purple power, whatever. So we're gonna get this area kind of washed down and we'll start cleaning it up. With any kind of chemicals, it's best to wear gloves if you've got them. Save your hands. Your skin's the biggest organ in your body, so it absorbs a lot of stuff. I'm gonna kind of just start pouring some of this over here. And then just an assortment of brushes will help to clean it up really well. We just want to get all the bulky grease off of it is the biggest goal for right now. And then we're still going to spray a degreaser on this in a surface prep before we actually spray it with any kind of paint or anything like that or primer. So we're just getting the bulk of the grease off. I don't know if you guys have ever seen these grip mats before, but love them. I use them a lot to kind of contain when I'm cleaning, or I use them for wrenches and stuff underneath the cars. You can lay it over the motor of vehicles to, you know, set wrenches where normally you wouldn't be able to do it. So I really, really like them, and I've had them for quite a while now. There's some off brands, and I don't know if they're any good or not. I've never tried them. Grip mat is kind of like the premier product for them. But if you guys are interested in any of those, I'll leave a link in the description down below. I use them all the time and I really, really like them. That way you can find them. I think you can buy them on Amazon or whatever, but I'll make sure to link it down below if you guys like this kind of thing. So you can enjoy them as well. This vise, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's actually made in USA. It's Dunlap is actually the brand who manufactured it, and it was made in the US, which is really cool. I like having USA made stuff around. It's just, I really just think the quality typically is just much higher in general than anything made out of the States. And so we want to make sure that this thing lasts forever. So this is the hard one because there's a lot of interior surfaces in here. And I'd like to get all that out so that we can get a good fresh coat of grease in there. So we'll run a lot of this chemical down through there and maybe even blow it out with an air compressor or something. If you've ever used purple power or purple cleaner of any sort, it's pretty strong stuff. You can definitely smell it. Probably best to have some ventilation in your shop if you have any kind of windows you can open up or that kind of thing. The less you're exposed to any of this kind of stuff over long periods of time, the better off you're going to be, honestly. I don't know what it is about just having things that are made well and that last for a long time. I just really enjoy taking care of them and seeing how long you can get them to last and giving them some TLC every, 5-10 years, that kind of thing. And it's just one of my passions is keeping things going for as long as you can. Okay. I think we're ready to go. We'll get an air compressor in some of these holes and blow it out really well, and we'll start prepping for paint. We'll also want to clean up the splines here. Get all that junk out of there because we're going to re-grease all this. So we're going to use a little prep spray here. This has all just been degreased and it's cleaned for the most part, but we want to get anything that's left on it, like any of the oils or grease. So we're going to use some prep spray that cleans and degreases for bare surfaces, and there's no residue. It's supposed to not leave any residue over, so we're going to kind of just coat some of this. And I'm going to take some of these rags and start to clean it off, and we'll let this air dry for a while before we paint it. So we're looking pretty good here. Actually, I'm pretty happy with the way that this is turning out. There's some deep marks in this that I know are not gonna come out unless it's sanded. I'm okay with that. Kind of just gives it character, and it's those times that somebody was really frustrated and started taking a hammer to the end of this, and like I said, it just gives it character. So I'm not wanting to take any of this out, but it's looking a lot better. Kind of give you a comparison to what it kind of started with versus what it looks like now. I always have a nice soft microfiber with me out in the shop to do the final wipe on this stuff. Man, does that look good. Like I said, it's nowhere near perfect, but starting off, it looked the same as the one above, if not worse. So I'm super happy with the way that this is turning out, and it's time to start on this one now. So one thing that I want is with this base, it's going to be riding on this and spinning, and so I want to have a thin layer of grease in there. And as this spins and turns on here, I don't want this paint to eventually wear off and start getting mixed in with the grease and stuff. So I'm gonna take a flat file just across the top of it, and we're gonna take off just the layer of paint that would ride on this. Doesn't take much, so obviously since this is a flat file, it's gonna reveal all of the areas that are high, and that's exactly what we did here. So we took off the paint on all of those areas that are gonna start wearing down. Now we can mount this on top and get a little bit of grease in there and start assembling it that way. So basically the way that this goes, we're gonna do the same on this side to just clean it up, only to get the highs. And when assembling this, I'm going to get just a little bit of grease. It literally does not take very much. I'm just gonna get a little bit and just lightly coat all of the areas that this is gonna be making contact. And again, I don't want it to get all over the place, so I just put a little bit. And we just want that to be able to ride back and forth nicely when we turn it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this big bolt and flip this upside down, just like so. And there's not any other hardware that goes in there. We're just gonna start taking this in, and I'm actually gonna grab a little bit of Loctite. This is just the blue so that we can set the tension when we put this together. It doesn't take a lot. And I'm gonna go ahead and start screwing it in. We want this to be tight, but not so tight that we can't spin this anymore. So that's kind of what we're going for. About as tight as I'm going to be able to get it, but it still allows this to move, which is exactly what we want. Next, we're going to install this piece. The way that this works is the bolt goes through the bottom, and it's got a square head on it, so it cannot spin inside this groove. So we're going to go ahead and drop that through here, and we'll flip it around, and on the top side we'll just start spinning it on. Called my grandfather right before I started this project, and asked him, I said, what colors do you think that old Vise should be that I'm going to restore? And he said, well, Austin, I definitely think it should be black and gray. And I said, okay, what parts you think should be black? And he said, I think the base should be black, and I think the top should be gray. So that's exactly what we did. We went ahead and did black on the bottom, gray on the top. The next part that needs to go together is this, and you just basically get your larger handle here, and this slides through. We want to get a little bit of grease on this because that spins inside the head here. and we want to get some grease on these threads as well. But for right now, we'll start with just getting some grease here. And it literally does not take much. You just want to kind of coat the part and get an even coat all the way around it. We're going to go ahead and slide it through. Now, we've got our little C-clip here that needs to go on the back side. So we're going to slide that over all the way to where it needs to go, and then we'll get something to clamp it down. So you can see there's a little groove in there. You want to get it to where it goes in the groove, and then close it down. That way you can't pull this back out, if that makes sense. Now we want to get a little bit of grease in this area. Again, you do not want to add too much, just a little bit will do. This is probably even too much here, but we're just going to kind of start to get some in those threads. But now we're going to slide this together. Once that meets up, you can start bringing it in. Man, that's nice. That spins really pretty sweet. What do you guys think of that? I think there's one thing left to do, and that is take care of this raised lettering here. May take a couple of coats of this. All right, so she's done. Nice little freshen up on this vise. It's not a full-blown restoration, as you can obviously tell, but it'll work good for many years to come. And it's just got a nice little freshen up. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. So thanks so much for watching the video. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing to the channel. We have many more videos very similar to this coming your way. So thanks again for watching.